Hi, welcome to Histopath Academy. I'm your doctor, and today we'll cover a very common pathology diagnosis, benign endometrial polyp, based on the histopathology of endometrial curettings. Stay with me till the end, because I'll give you 2 rapid exam checks that summarize the whole topic. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to Histopath Academy. An endometrial polyp is a localized overgrowth of the endometrium, the inner lining of the uterus. It commonly causes abnormal uterine bleeding, such as heavy periods, irregular bleeding, or spotting between periods. It can also be associated with infertility or subfertility, because it may interfere with implantation. Here is the case context. The patient is around 35 to 45 years old, with bleeding and infertility, or AUB. The specimen submitted is endometrial curettings, meaning tissue obtained by curettage or a D&C. A key learning point is that curettings often arrive as multiple fragmented pieces, so you may not receive one intact polyp, but the diagnosis is made using the microscopic pattern and clinical correlation. On gross examination, the specimen is described as multiple hemorrhagic tissue fragments, which is very typical for curettage specimens. Now, quick engagement check. What single microscopic clue would most strongly support an endometrial polyp? Keep watching. Answer is coming next. Now the key part, the microscopy. The glands are variable in size, and many show cystic dilatation, so you see a mixture of smaller glands and larger dilated glands. The stroma is fibrous, and it may show edema and inflammation, which is commonly seen in polyps. And now the most high-yield feature, the presence of thick-walled blood vessels. So here is the answer to the question. The signature clue is thick-walled vessels in a fibrous stromal background. Together with irregular or cystically dilated glands, this strongly suggests an endometrial polyp. If this is useful, please like the video and subscribe to Histopath Academy and comment, thick-walled vessels. Equally important is what we do not see. The report mentions no atypia, and there is no evidence of hyperplasia, endometrial intraepithelial neoplasia, or malignancy in the examined tissue, supporting a benign endometrial polyp. For exams, keep the differentials clear. Endometrial hyperplasia is usually more diffuse. Endometrial intraepithelial neoplasia is suggested by gland crowding plus cytological atypia. A submucosal fibroid shows smooth muscle bundles, and endometrial carcinoma shows significant atypia and complex malignant architecture. Don't skip the next part. We'll finish with a rapid 2-line exam summary. So the final diagnosis is benign endometrial polyp in endometrial curettings, with no atypia or malignancy identified in the examined sections. Most polyps are benign, but risk is higher with red flags such as postmenopausal bleeding, large or recurrent polyps, or tamoxifen use. So clinical correlation and follow-up are important. Rapid exam check. Endometrial polyp equals thick-walled vessels, and endometrial intraepithelial neoplasm equals gland crowding with cytological atypia. For more high-yield pathology, please subscribe to Histopath Academy.